Jay here. Welcome to Beginning Drums Chapter 1. Okay, we're going to start off today playing rhythms and rudiments. That's the way each chapter starts. I'm going to be playing just on my snare. I am using a practice pad. This is a nice practice pad. It totally covers the snare. It's got two different sides. One's a little more soft sound. Other one has a harder sound. So I'm going to use the harder sound. And I do have my snares on, so you'll be able to hear my snares a little bit too. I'm using a metronome. I do recommend this. Metronomes are great. They keep the beat for you. You can adjust it to be a faster or a slower click. Also a great way to monitor your improvement. So I'm going to have my click at 75. Okay, first of all, let's talk about some of the rhythms we're going to find and also how to hold our drumsticks. Okay, in chapter 1, we're going to be talking about the whole note rest. That's going to be a rectangle box hanging down from the second to top line. That means we're not going to play anything for 4 beats. Another rhythm we'll play is the quarter note, and that means we're going to hit one note on each beat. We'll also learn about the quarter note rest. That's going to come on the last 2 rhythms, and that's going to be that squiggle, and that means we don't play anything for 1 beat. Okay, we'll also learn about the half note rest. That's a rectangle box that points up from the middle line. Okay, now here's my drumsticks. I recommend you could play light, smaller sticks. You could play heavy sticks. Kind of a good medium is like a 5A, they call it. It's upside down. Can't tell. Okay, 5A is a nice size, but also 7A is a smaller stick. That's a nice one too, especially for younger kids. Keeps the volume down a little bit too. Then you have big old thick sticks, so those are fun too, but you don't have to have huge sticks at this point. Okay, now as far as holding your stick, what I recommend, if you're gonna do what we call match grip, it means my sticks are gonna basically my hands and sticks are gonna match each other. So let's see if I can show you this. I'm kind of almost like I'm riding a bicycle or a vroom vroom, like revving up my motorcycle right here. I've got a fulcrum, which is the pressure point of my thumb and pointer finger. And then my other fingers just kind of help out a little bit. So I am keeping them on there. They can release too, especially if we do certain techniques. But what I recommend is have your pressure point and then just let your other fingers kind of hold that stick. I do have a little end. I'm not all the way back. That's a fun technique too, but think about having like a little nub back there. And then same thing with my left hand too. So right here, that's a pretty good grip right there. Now there are different grips. Some drummers like to be a little bit more thumbs up. I'm kind of like here, a little bit more like thumb to the side. And there's different names for all these grips. There's French grip, German grip, and there's even American grip. There's also traditional grip. I like to play this style too. That's when my fulcrum is kind of in the pocket of my thumb and index right in there. And then I kind of grab it between my middle and my ring. And that's another technique too. I definitely got to know this playing some jazz and stuff, and I really like the feel. And then you see some rock drummers play traditional grip. And you could hit just as hard too, so you don't have to play jazz to play traditional grip at all. And you might see me mix up my grips as we go through the book. But I'll probably be starting off just with a very standard match grip like that. Okay, let's go ahead and try rhythm number 1. Okay, this is gonna be, basically we're not gonna play because it's gonna be 4 bars of the whole note rest. Okay, now if you look at number 1, our time meter is 4/4. That's gonna be pretty much all of our rhythms throughout the whole book. And I do have repeat bars on each of these numbers. I'm not gonna repeat them, but I do recommend for you to repeat them 4 to 8 times and try your different tempos. So slow, medium, and fast. Okay, I'm gonna start off, I'm just gonna have a 75 beat per minute click. And here's number 1. And I'll always count myself in. 1, 2, 3, 4. First bar, 2, 3, 4. Second bar, 2, 3, 4. Third bar, 2, 3, 4. Fourth bar, 2, 3, 4. All right, congratulations if you got that one. Sometimes it's not easy not to play. Okay, I'm gonna go on to number 2. This is gonna be quarter notes for 4 bars with 4 quarter notes per bar. And a quarter note, just think of it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm hitting on each beat, okay? And I do recommend rotate your sticks. If you're a righty, you can start off right, left, lefties, feel free to start off with your left. It's also good for our righties and lefties. Start off with opposite sticking too, but I didn't give you any specific stickings for these rhythms. So some of this you can kind of challenge yourself. You can even work one stick. You could work on a double concept. But what I recommend is just for right hand, start off with what we call right hand lead. So I'm just gonna go right, left, for each bar. And then I will have specific stickings for us once we get to the rudiments. And we always will change our stickings too to make sure we're balancing our left and our right. Okay, here comes number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second bar, 2, 3, 4. Third bar, 2, 3, 4. Fourth bar, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's take it to number 3. Okay, for number 3, we're going to have 4 quarter notes in the first bar. We have a whole note rest on bar 2. It means we won't play anything for those 4 beats. And then we're going to kind of repeat that concept. So on bar 3, we'll do 4 quarter notes, and then bar 4, another whole note rest. Here comes number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Third bar, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's take it to number 4. Okay, for number 4, we're going to kind of do the opposite of what we just did. We're going to start off with a whole note rest, so nothing for 4 beats, and then we'll do 4 quarter notes on bar 2, and then repeat that process. So whole note rest on on bar 3, and then 4 quarter notes on bar 4. Okay, here comes number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Bar 2, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Bar 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's take it to number 5. For this one, we're going to start off with 4 quarter notes on bar 1. Okay, now on bar 2, we're going to have the half note rest. That's going to be for the first 2 beats. On beat 1 and 2, we won't play anything, but we will play once we get to beat 3 and 4 with quarter notes. That's that second bar. Okay, now look at bar 3. We're going to start off with 2 quarter notes on beats 1 and 2, and then on beat 3 and 4, we'll rest. That's the half note rest right there. The last bar, bar 4, is all 4 quarter notes. Here comes number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, rest, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's take it to number 6. For this one, we have starts off with a half note rest, so that's nothing or resting for the first 2 beats, beats 1 and 2. We'll play quarter notes on beat 3 and 4. We'll have all quarter notes on each beat for bar 2 and 3. And then on bar 4, we'll have quarter notes on beats 1 and 2 with a half note rest on beat 3 and 4. Okay, here comes number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, rest, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, rest, rest. Okay, let's take it to number 7. For number 7, we're going to start off bar 1 with all 4 quarter notes. Okay, now on bar 2, we're going to incorporate the quarter note rest. That's the squiggle. So on bar 2, we're going to have a quarter note on beat 1 with a quarter note rest on beat 2, quarter notes on beat 3 and 4. Bar 3 is all quarter notes for all 4 beats. On bar 4, we're going to do quarter notes on beats 1 and 2, a quarter note rest on beat 3, and then a quarter note on beat 4. Okay, here comes number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, rest, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, rest, 4. Okay, the final rhythm, let's take it to number 8. We're going to have, for bar 1, quarter notes on beats 1, 2, and 3 with the quarter note rest on beat 4. Bar 2 is all 4 quarter notes. Bar 3 will have a quarter note rest on beat 1 with quarter notes on beats 2, 3, and 4. And then bar 4 is all 4 quarter notes. Okay, here comes number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that'll do it for our rhythms. Let's go ahead and move on to rudiments. Okay, rudiments is going to be a different one for each chapter. We're going to start off with a flam. And flams are awesome. I play flams all the time. Flams are going to incorporate a grace note. So when you see that note with smaller note with a slash through the stem, right before the beat, it's also tied to the note. That's going to be a flam. And basically what we do is we're going to hit one stick right before the other. Okay, now a grace note, as I mentioned, that can be a right or a left. I'll let you know which specific stick gets that grace note. Okay, take a look at number one. We're going to play a right, let's think of this as a right flam, but the left hits right before it. Okay, so if I'm going to hit my left just before the right, okay, now let's see if I leave too much space, it'll sound like this. So we don't want that much space. We also don't want it to be exactly even, which is hard to do. Just a little bit before. Okay, now if I do a left flam, I'm going to hit my right stick just before. Now notice I'm keeping whatever stick's going to hit first, I'm keeping it lower because I'm going to go right left. But let that stick fall from higher and you'll get a nice accent. And the accent is that arrow above the note right there. Okay, so left flam, right stick hits first, right flam, left stick hits first. And we'll mix them up. But that's what they sound like. Totally rocking. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at number one. Okay, I'm going to do a right flam on beats 1 and 3, and I'm going to have a quarter note rest on beats 2 and 4. So we'll have a little break in between my flams. Okay, I'm just going to take it nice and slow. A right flam is when my left stick's going to hit just before, so notice my left stick's a little bit lower. Okay, here's number 1. 3, 4, 1, rest, 3, rest, flip to 6, rest, rest again, right flam rest, right flam rest, left flam rest, left flam rest. Cool, okay, that's number 1. Okay, now go on over to number 2. We're gonna do a similar concept, but this time we're gonna flip our stickings each bar. So we'll start off with the right flam on beat 1, that's a left just before, right flam, rest, and then a left flam. So that's with the right stick just before. On beat 3, and then again a rest on beat 4, and then when we repeat it, we'll do the left flam first, going to the right flam. Okay, here's number 2. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm going to recommend repeat all these 4 to 8 times. Some of these I'll just do a couple times for time purposes. Okay, going on to number 3. Now we're going to do 2 right flams in a row on beat 1 and 2, and then we'll have a half note rest for beat 3 and 4, and then we'll flip the sticks. Okay, here's number 3. 3, 4. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. Okay, now for number 4, similar concept, but we'll flip our sticks for the first 2 beats each bar. So we'll start off with the right flam on beat 1 and then a left flam on beat 2. Here we go, here's number 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. Okay, for number 5, we're gonna do 3 right flams in a row on beats 1, 2, and 3 with a quarter note rest on beat 4. And then we'll repeat it again with those, flip our sticks to go for 3 left flams. Okay, here's number 5. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, rest. Okay, for the last one, number 6, we're gonna do 3 flams on the first 3 beats of each bar, but we're gonna flip our sticks for each flam. Again, a quarter note beat rest on beat 4. So we'll do a right flam, left flam to a right flam, and then we'll flip it when we repeat it. Okay, here's number 6. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, rest. Now let's say if I wanted to try my different tempos, let's consider that like a slower one. Actually, I'll go a little bit slower. If I was like 1, 2, 3, rest. Now if I want to kick it up a little bit to medium, I might be similar to where I just was, like a 1, 2, 3, rest. Okay, now if I want to go faster, 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, rest. So you can see how you can get a lot of bang for the buck with your practicing, repeating and trying those different tempos too. All right, welcome to Beats and Fills. Today we're going to start off with the basic rock beats. These are going to be beats we're going to be talking about throughout the whole book. We'll also be hitting these same beats in our reviews as we push our tempos and just kind of get our jam on. Now, all these beats are really effective and efficient. That's why they're so popular, and you're going to hear them all over the place, whether it be rock, dance music, pop, it doesn't matter. You always hear this certain beat pop up, and there's a reason for it. Is because it works really, really good, and it's good to jam with. It's great for the bass player and all the different musicians and singers to work with. It leaves some space too, and then you can just fill in things and get busy from there. Okay, let's start off with the basic quarter note beat. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my bass drum on beats 1 and 3, and my snare is going to fall on beats 2 and 4. And that snare on 2 and 4 is what we call the backbeat. And that's usually what's going to make everyone be like, boom, cat, cat. That's the crack, boom, crack, boom, boom, crack. We could put different bass drums in there, as we'll do throughout the book, but our snare is going to stay on 2 and 4, really driving in the backbeat, which is so popular and such an important thing for us drummers to know about. Okay, starting off with our quarter note basic rock beat, we're going to just hit our bass drum on 1 and 3, and it's going to line up with our hi-hat or our ride, depending on when we switch, and we'll also use the crash too. Okay, I'm going to start off with hi-hat, which I recommend for everyone just to start off and get your beat going, and then we'll go into repetition. Okay, the first concept is to hit your bass drum with your hi-hat at the same time. That's beat 1. On beat 2, we're going to hit our snare and hi-hat together at the same time, and then we're going to repeat that concept for beats 3 and 4. So here's beat 3, bass drum and hi-hat, and here's beat 4, snare and hi-hat. Okay, now when we repeat that and go from beat to beat, that's going to be our basic quarter note beat. Sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now when I switch to my different cymbals, all I'm going to do is just take my right hand, let's say over to my crash. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the same concept, here's my ride. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now when you hit your snare, I usually rebound off of it like this. Some drummers hit it and stick it. You can also connect with the rim of the drum, and you get what's called a rim shot, which is really cool, and it's loud, and you really hear the resonance of the drum. But you're going to see me just kind of do like a for my snare backbeat right there. Okay. Now I'm going to demonstrate playing all these. It's a separate clip, so here I go jamming on the basic quarter note rock beat. And what I'll do is I'll play this on the hi-hat 4 times. I'm going to go over to my ride 4 times, and then I'll go to the crash 4 times. And I'm going to recommend you repeat all of these beats 4 to 8 times, but even more just to get them grooving. It doesn't take too long to repeat them, so just get into the habit of repeating those and grooving on them. Make it feel good, have fun with it, and that's always going to be our goal, is to make it groove and feel good. 1, 2. Okay, for beat number 2, we're going to do the basic 8th note rock beat. It's going to be a similar concept, bass drums on 1 and 3, snares on 2 and 4, but now we're going to have 8th notes in our hi-hat. So we're going to have an extra hi-hat in between each beat, and it's going to fall on the and of the beat, and that's when you see a plus sign written above. Okay, so here is my basic 8th note beat concept. I'm going to start off with my bass drum and hi-hat together on beat 1 on the downbeat, 1. Then I'm just going to hit a hi-hat on the and. Now on beat 2, I'm going to hit my snare and hi-hat together, 2. and then I'm going to hit the and of the beat with my hi-hat all by itself, and I'm going to repeat that again for beats 3 and 4. So here's beat 3, 3, hi-hat and bass drum, and then a hi-hat by itself, and beat 4 will be a snare and hi-hat, and then a hi-hat all by itself. Okay, so here it is super slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, for beat number 3, we're going to do the 16th note basic rock beat. Okay, similar concept again, bass drums on 1 and 3, snares on 2 and 4. The only difference is now we're going to be doing 16th notes in our hi-hat. Now the way we count our 16th notes is going to be like this: 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Okay, now if I put my bass drum on beat 1, we'll have this: 1 E and. Now here's beat 2. I'm going to start with my snare with the hi-hat. 2 E and. Now I'm just going to repeat that same concept for beats 3 and 4. Here's beat 3. 3 E and then here's beat 4. 4 E and. Okay, here it is super slow. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Okay, let's do some fills. Every chapter we're going to do 4 fills, and the way it's going to work is I'm going to give you a rhythm. We'll play it all snare for the first example, or the first part of every example. The second part, I'm going to orchestrate it or arrange it on the drum set using all the elements in some way. And then the third part is for you to take that rhythm and then make your own drum fill. And we'll talk about how you can start to create your own drum fills. And drum fills are a great way to express yourself as a drummer. It's really fun to do. I like to just improvise things too. I will think out things, but I'm also going to lead you into where you could just let it flow, have your groove, and then play your own fills and whatever comes to your head. And improvisation is that concept where we're just making up things in real time. But we'll ease into that. Okay, now the first step is to just play 4 quarter notes, all snare. Okay, now for the second example, I'm going to put it on the drum set and I'm going to go around the horn. I'm going to be using this pretty much every chapter. Around the horn is when it's going to go from snare to tom 1, to tom 2, to floor tom, and whichever rhythm we're working on for that particular number, we'll put in there. But so for this one, if we have 4 quarter notes, I'm just going to do a quarter note on my snare, 1, 2, and floor, like this. And that's what we're going to call around the horn. So look for that ATH. Usually on the first example, I'm going to use that concept. Okay, so here's fill number 1, around the horn. Okay, now for the third part of number 1, this is when you're going to create your own fill, and I left a blank bar there for you to write it in. And I do recommend writing, have a pencil. I do recommend pencil over pens in case you make some mistakes, which I make all the time. Now, if you're going to take 4 quarter notes, I put, first example, all snare, and then I went around the horn. Okay, now if you want to make up your own creative fill using 4 quarter notes, I'll just give you some examples. Let's say if you just want to hit tom 1 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there you go. You just wrote yourself a fill. And then what I recommend is using our drum key. If you wanted to put 4 quarter notes on tom number 1, that would be 4 quarter notes up on that top space. So as we get to know the reading and the drum key, you'll get familiar with it too, but that's what you would do. You would write in 4 quarter notes on your tom 1. Now let's say if you wanted to make them flams, you would write in that grace note, tie it over, and then you can make it a flam fill if you want. So as we go through, we'll talk about ways to be creative with it, but basically the third part of every fill is for you just to use your creativity and orchestrate your fill anywhere you'd like. You can repeat drums, you could do combinations. Let's say if you want to do tom 1 and tom 2 together. If you want to do cymbals, put them in there, no problem at all. Okay, let's go ahead and look at fill number 2. For fill number 2, we're going to do quarter notes on beats 1, 2, and 4, and we'll have a quarter note rest on beat 3 where we won't play anything. Okay, now the way I orchestrated fill number 2, I put beat 1 on floor tom, beat 2 on tom 1. We'll have that quarter note rest, and then we'll have a flam on tom 2, which will fall on beat 4. Okay, for fill number 3, we're going to do 3 quarter notes for beats 1, 2, and 3, all snare, and we'll have a quarter note rest on beat 4. Okay, now the way I orchestrated this one for the drum set, I put beat 1 as a flam on tom 2, beat 2 is a bass drum, and then beat 3 is a crash. Beat 4 is a quarter note rest. We won't play anything. Okay, for fill number 4, we're going to start off with a quarter note rest, and then we'll have quarter notes on beats 2, 3, and 4. The way I orchestrated fill number 4 is I'm going to have that quarter note rest on beat 1, and then I put a flam on the snare for beat 2. There's a floor tom on beat 3, and then another flam on snare for beat 4. And again, for your creative fills, the ones you're going to make up, if you want to use flams, if you want to use combinations or just single drums, have at it, have fun with it. You could try out things. You could, if you're not liking it, you could erase it. But this is a good way for you to go back and look and see what you did. And as you progress through the book too, you can see how your writing improves and all those good musicianship things too. Okay, now what we're going to do is combine the beats and fills. We learn a beat every chapter. We learned some fills. Now, what I did for you is I wrote out a couple examples for you to do. What the goal here is to do 4 bars of the beats we're given. That's going to be the quarter note, 8th note, and 16th note version of our beat for the chapter. After a 4-bar repetition, we're going to go into a drum fill. Now, what I gave you examples of my orchestrated fills. So that would be the second part of each number there. And I wrote them in for you, so you could just read it across right there. But you could ultimately choose any fill you want. If you want to pick one of my fills on snare, if you want to pick one of my fills that's orchestrated, if you want to do your own fill, that's all good too. In fact, I encourage all of those, especially your fills. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'll play you the beat 4 times, and I'm going to play the fill that's written. And then at the end, I'm just going to jam on our beats for 4 times, and I'm just going to improvise my own fills. So that's what we're also leading with you, is for you to just be able to count your beats, count your bars, and then make up your own fill too, keeping track of our 4 beats in each bar. Okay, now it comes time where I'm going to improvise, and I'm just going to jam on each beat for 4 bars. And I'll do this a couple times with each beat, but I'm going to just improvise a 1-bar fill, and we'll see what happens. It may not be the greatest fill, but no matter what, it's fun. And I'm keeping my groove on. I'm keeping those 4 beats, and it's coming from the heart. So I definitely encourage this with you too, and we'll get better at it as we go through the book. So don't be afraid. Anytime we improvise or make something up, it's definitely coming from our heart, and we're vulnerable that way. So it's all good. It's all part of music, and it's a really neat part of music, but you have to kind of learn how to do it, and you do have to be a little brave and put yourself out there. But if you mess up, we just go again, and messing up is no problem. That's why we practice. Okay, welcome to the study. For this chapter study, we're going to talk about switching cymbals with our right hand. If you're a lefty, you would just switch that around and move your left hand. But all we're going to do is be moving, let's say from the hi-hat, we're going to repeat beats 4 times and then switch it over to the right. We might start on the crash and we'll switch over to our hi-hat, vice versa, using all of our different cymbals. And this is a very important thing for us drummers, because in the context of a song, we might switch it up. We might be over here, we're going to switch it up if there's a chorus or a part of the song, maybe a bridge that's going to ask for something. Switching it up is a great way to be musical and complement music too. It's also really fun. We get to mix it up and use all of our cool cymbals, hi-hat, crash, and ride. If you have more than one crash, feel free to use all of those too. If you don't have a crash, you could just also use your ride and just kind of make it, hit it hard so it gets kind of crashy if you want. Okay, let's start off with number 1. For this one, we're going to do basic quarter note beat for 4 bars on the hi-hat, and then we're going to switch to 4 bars on the ride. Okay, for number 2, we're going to start off with basic 8th note beat 4 times on the hi-hat and switch it over to 4 times on the ride. For number 3, we're going to do 4 bars of basic 16th note hi-hat, switch it over to 4 bars basic 16th note on the ride. Okay, for the next three, we're going to be switching from the ride to the hi-hat. So similar concept, 4 bars, basic rock quarter note on the ride, 4 bars, basic rock quarter note on the hi-hat. Okay, for number 5, we'll do 4 bars of basic eighth notes on the ride to 4 bars of basic eighth notes on the hi-hat. For number 6, we're going to do 4 bars of basic 16th note on our ride to 4 bars of basic 16th note on the hi-hat. Okay, for the next 3, we're going to be switching from the ride to the crash. So for number 7, we'll do 4 bars basic rock quarter note hi-hat, switching to 4 bars crash basic rock quarter notes. And notice those circled X's, that'll be your crashes. For number 8, we're going to do 4 bars basic eighth notes on the hi-hat, and we're going to switch it to 4 bars basic eighth notes on the crash. For number 9, we're going to do 4 bars basic 16th note hi-hat to 4 bars basic 16th note on the crash. And when you see, I'll just write like a CR with a dash. That means you're just going to crash that whole thing. Okay, for number 10, we're going to start off with crash this time, and we'll move it to ride. So we'll go 4 bars basic quarter note crash to 4 bars basic quarter note ride. For number 11, we're going to do 4 bars basic 8th note crash to 4 bars basic 8th note ride. And then for number 12, we're going to do 4 bars basic 16th notes crash to 4 bars basic 16th note ride. All right, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you for chapter 2. Rock on.